A nation divided, the return of Donald Trump, the impossible has happened. Again. Defying polls, pundits, and perhaps even common sense, Donald J. Trump is once again the leader of the free world. A collective gasp echoes across the nation, a mixture of exhilaration and dread. America stands at a crossroads, bracing for the political earthquake about to shake its very foundation. For his fervent supporters, it's a victory lap, a validation of their unwavering faith. Make America great again. Banners, once relegated to attics, are dusted off and proudly displayed. But for others, a cold fear descends. The man who has divided a nation like no other in recent history is back at the helm, his finger on the pulse of American power. The world watches with bated breath. The wheels of power immediate political shifts. Washington, D.C., a city accustomed to the ebb and flow of power, is thrown into chaos. The old guard scrambles for influence, their Rolodexes suddenly irrelevant in the face of Trump's impulsive style. Loyalists are rewarded, critics are silenced. The swamp, far from being drained, is about to be reshaped in Trump's own image. Executive orders flow like a torrent, reversing the policies of the previous administration with ruthless efficiency. Climate change initiatives gone, international agreements torn up, the Affordable Care Act on life support. Trump, unburdened by the constraints of a first term, governs with a vengeance, driven by a singular purpose: to dismantle the legacy of his predecessors and cement his own.
The Republican Party, once wary of Trump's unconventional ways, now embraces him as their conquering hero. Dissent is silenced, loyalty enforced. The Democrats, reeling from the defeat, face an uphill battle. Do they compromise with a man who plays by his own rules? Or do they stand their ground, risking further gridlock and political turmoil?
Fault lines deepen, social fabric under strain. America, already deeply divided along political, racial, and socioeconomic lines, feels the chasm widen. Trump's rhetoric, often inflammatory and divisive, ignites the powder keg of social unrest. Protests erupt in major cities, met with a show of force reminiscent of a bygone era. Trust in institutions, already at an all-time low, further erodes. The media, labeled as the enemy of the people by Trump, faces relentless attacks, their credibility questioned at every turn. Facts become subjective, truth a casualty in the war of narratives. Social media, once a platform for connection, transforms into an echo chamber of outrage. Algorithms amplify the most extreme voices, fueling a cycle of anger and polarization. Civil discourse becomes a distant memory, replaced by a toxic brew of insults, threats, and misinformation. The American dream, once a beacon of hope for generations, seems to slip further out of reach. The middle class shrinks, the gap between the rich and the poor widens. Fear and uncertainty grip the nation, breeding resentment and distrust.
It's disheartening to see how divided we've become. The promise of a better future feels like it's slipping away, and the sense of community is fading. People are more polarized than ever, and it's hard to imagine how we can bridge these gaps.
Wall Street's gamble economic uncertainty looms. The stock market, a fickle beast driven by both greed and fear, reacts to Trump's victory with a mixture of euphoria and trepidation. The Dow Jones soars on promises of tax cuts and deregulation, but the rally feels fragile, built on a foundation of uncertainty. Trump's economic policies, a mix of protectionism and populism, send shockwaves through the global economy. Trade wars erupt, tariffs are imposed, and the free flow of goods and services grinds to a halt. The world watches nervously, bracing for the fallout. Jobs are both created and destroyed in equal measure. Manufacturing sees a resurgence, fueled by Trump's America First agenda. But automation continues its relentless march, displacing workers in industries across the board. The promise of a return to economic greatness rings hollow for many who find themselves left behind. The national debt, already at an unsustainable level, continues to balloon as Trump prioritizes short-term gains over long-term stability. The dollar weakens, inflation rises, and the seeds of an economic crisis are sown.
The economic landscape is incredibly volatile right now. While some sectors are experiencing growth, others are facing significant challenges. The uncertainty is palpable, and it's difficult to predict how all these factors will play out in the long run. The national debt and rising inflation are particularly concerning, as they could have long-term repercussions for the economy.